Here's a good question. Should you or should you not run fuel additive? But if you choose to do it, will it potentially void your warranty? Whether you own a diesel or a gas-powered vehicle, what is the ultimate answer? We're going to unpack that in this video today. I think it's a good topic, and GM is actually giving you guidelines for it. So I am here at Jerry Signer, so using their inventory to discuss this topic. Be sure to check them out if you're in the market. Let's go ahead and jump into the article. So you guys see the title. Here's what GM recommends regarding fuel additives. The world of fuel additives is vast, often marketed as offering myriad benefits from added performance to engine cleaning to fuel stabilization. That all said, GM has specific guidance regarding the use of fuel additives in its gasoline and diesel-powered vehicles. Now we're taking a closer look. Simply put, GM makes it abundantly clear that additives should not be considered part of normal vehicle maintenance. Rather, the automaker says that owners should only use approved fuel additives when addressing a specific concern or issue, and that additives are not considered a part of regular maintenance, nor are they required to maintain warranty coverage. So that's all good news, right? That's really good news. Now, according to General Motors, the use of high quality fuel should be considered the primary way to avoid fuel system issues. For gasoline powered vehicles, GM recommends top tier detergent gasoline with a proper octane rating to help reduce intake valve deposits and maintain injector cleanliness. Diesel powered models should use top tier approved diesel fuel that meets ultra low sulfur diesel requirements. For gasoline vehicles, GM identifies AC Delco Fuel System Cleaner 44K as the approved additive for deposit control on injectors, intake valves, and combustion chambers. The product may be added to the fuel tank when drivability symptoms suggest deposits are contributing to the problem, or as preventative maintenance in areas where top-tier gasoline may not be consistently available. However, General Motors stresses that engine issues like stalling, reduced fuel economy, or loss of power should first be diagnosed through the standard service procedures. Now, I know some people are against fuel additives, right? Some people might call it snake oil. And I understand that because fuel additive is not something that you can actually see, right? You put it in the tank and you just hope for the best. So there's no way of really gauging it unless your engine is already idling rough or you're noticing your fuel economy is going down and you decide to run it and see if it makes a difference. That's really the only way for you to know. Now, I owned a 2005 Legacy GT that I bought pre-owned. The car had 83,000 miles on it, and I don't think the guy who owned that car ever did any maintenance on it besides changing the oil. This intake filter was so dirty, I don't even think that he changed it out. He had a K&N filter in there, and I think that he thought that it was self-cleaning because it was so dirty. I think a mouse nest was on top of it. But regardless of that, I changed the filter, I did a bunch of other maintenance items, and then I decided to run fuel additive for a month. When I started off with that car, believe it or not, it was getting like 11 to 12 miles a gallon. It's like a Charger Hellcat. And when I decided to run that additive, I went from getting about 13, 14 with all the maintenance items to getting about 16 to 17 running the additive. So I did notice a big difference, and it actually quieted down the engine a little bit too. So in my humble opinion, I do recommend fuel additives. And as you guys see, the good news is if you're not someone who wants to run fuel additive, it doesn't affect your warranty at all. So you don't have to do it. So that's the nice thing about this. So the main reason why I run fuel additive, and this is 100% fact, this is the only reason why I do it, is it the peace of mind. I like the idea of buying fuel additive, running it in my diesel truck. I have a diesel truck. We're going to talk about that here in a second. I run out of every tank in my diesel. But if I had a gasoline powered vehicle like my wife's car, I run it once a quarter typically because I'm always getting top tier fuel. So there's no need to run a bunch of additive in gasoline engines because you already have the detergents from the fuel station like you saw in that article. So that's the good thing about buying a gas engine. There's a lot more stations that run the top tier, and that way you don't have to worry too much about getting bad fuel. Every fuel station does have a little bit of detergent in it, but top tier stations go above and beyond what the standards are from the, is it the EPA or whoever sets those regulations. Now the article goes on to say, for diesel applications, General Motors has a few approved additive products designed for different conditions and engine issues. For example, Fuel System Treatment Plus is intended for situations where poor fuel quality has contributed to injector deposits, black smoke, weak performance, no start conditions, or reduced fuel economy, but it is not intended for use with every tank of fuel. General Motors also warns against the routine use of non-approved aftermarket additives, which may contribute to corrosion, seal deterioration, or the formation of additional deposits inside the fuel system. Okay, so I'm going to agree and disagree with that article for the diesels. So let's start off with additives. If you are using an aftermarket additive, here's what I'll tell you. The manufacturer needs to give you clear information on either what's in it or does it create ash. If you're using an additive that creates ash with these emissions equipment trucks, you potentially could have more problems at hand simply because of the DPF. So just keep that in mind. Now, I recommend you run additive every fill up, and here's why. How expensive are these fuel systems on these trucks? It's not less than $10,000 if you're thinking that. It's probably in the neighborhood of $15,000 to $18,000. That's not exaggeration. So if you messed up and put DEF in your tank, right, when you're supposed to put it in the DEF tank, and you start your truck, you need a new system for your fuel. And that's going to cost you somewhere in the neighborhood of $18,000. So that is the biggest issue with that statement, not running additive every time. So I do run Insane Diesel's Lorenzo. I actually just created a website because I love this stuff so much. I've been using it for just about a year now, and when I had my DPF issues, you guys know I had some DPF issues where I was regenerating every 150 miles. I started using this every fill up, and it went from 150 to 230 miles every regen. Now I do live 30 minutes from the highway, so my truck is stop and go idle a lot more so than probably some of you other guys out there. So that's why I say this is really good stuff, and they build this around cleaning your fuel system and obviously reducing emissions issues. So if you want to check out my website, it is down below. And something else you have to consider too is diesel standards in America are not that great. We have biodiesel in our fuel, and after about 30 days, biodiesel can start to oxidize. And if that happens, it can create problems within your fuel system. So the manufacturers do recommend to you, hey, if your truck's going to be sitting idle for 30 days or more, you're supposed to burn out that fuel or empty out the tank and add a fuel that does not have biodiesel in it. And I'm not exaggerating that. That is actually factual. You can find that in the owner's manual. So this is the issue I have when the manufacturers don't really give clear guidelines. Just like how they tell us to get these long oil change intervals. Like you can go 10,000 or 15,000 miles like Ram on oil change, and now they're having issues and you wonder why. So my humble opinion is, if you're someone that's looking to build a forever truck, right, that's something I've been dubbing a little bit more so, simply because I like the idea of keeping something now and seeing how long it'll last. I've had no mechanical issues with this truck. I do my own oil changes. I run the Lorenzo's oil, by the way, too. And so far, after doing my fuel analysis, I have noted that my total base number is significantly higher than what it was when I was running the factory oil. So regardless of how you look at this, fuel additive is something that I highly recommend on diesel engines. Now, if you're running it on a gasoline engine, like I said, I would say if you ran it once a month or even once a quarter, that's fine. As long as you're getting fuel from a top tier station, you're fine, especially like a Costco. Like my Costco that's close to me where I get my diesel from, they have a truck come every day for diesel. Every day they have a truck come. That's how much diesel they're selling. Now, if you're getting gasoline there, they have 3 trucks that come for that. 20,000 gallon tanks underground. And they're doing about 1 million gallons of fuel a month. So when I say that their fuel is fresh, it's fresh. Now they say they have an R99. I still need to call Costco and clarify, because I want to know too, and I'm going to do a video on that as well. I want to do as much research as I can. I don't want to have issues with this equipment, especially with what I've done. I've modified this truck so much that I can't afford to have an issue, right? If I were to have an engine failure, there's a very strong chance that they can say, well, because your truck is tuned, we don't have to cover your truck. Now, granted, they have to prove that any failure that I have was caused by my upgrades, but regardless of it, if I have an engine failure, they can probably prove that. That's why now my engine oil gets checked on the regular. I check my engine oil probably every 3 days. Whenever I drive this truck, like I've been driving it a lot more so. Like you guys can see, I'm towing. You guys see that trailer back there? Yep, towing. I'm 8 hours from home right now, just doing some testing, picking up a car for my wife. Yep, I just bought my wife a car. You guys are gonna probably see that really soon here. And I just wanna make sure my equipment lasts. And so I think that a lot of times when people have issues, it's simply because they're not doing their due diligence. So I recommend making sure you check your oil. Some people don't check their oil and they're going 7,000 miles, even up to 15,000 miles on oil change because the manufacturer said they can't. So I hope this video was helpful. I recommend find out for yourself what works. If you want to run the Lorenzos, I recommend it because I've done my research. The way that fuel treatment bonds to the fuel is why I use it. And you can talk to Insane Diesel about it. They can explain to you guys why their stuff is the best, and it is a little bit more expensive, right? Now, one thing I will say, their oil has not gone up in price since all the stuff that's happened in the world, right? Their oil prices are still the same. They have not gone up. So I hope this was helpful. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section. Do you recommend running fuel additive? I would say for gasoline engines, again, running it every month or maybe every quarter, depending on how you buy your fuel and how often you drive your car, would suffice for most engines. But if you're someone who's always owned cars and never had issues, then by all means, I wouldn't spend the money either if you don't see the value. But I like the peace of mind of running the additive. Like I've said to you guys, it's not about making my engine better. It's about just having peace of mind that no matter what I'm putting in that tank, I have a little bit of extra treatment in there to make it the best and give this engine its best shot at fuel economy and reliability. So again, let me know your guys' thoughts down below. See you guys soon.